The graduation party invitation arrived on heavy cardstock, celebrating Julia Chen's achievement, PhD in economics, Stanford University. Reception at the faculty club, Saturday, May 20th, 3 p.m. My older sister Julia, 28, freshly minted PhD, already with a prestigious think tank job offer in Washington. The family success story. Mom forwarded the invitation with a note. Julia's big day. Try to dress appropriately. Important faculty attending. I texted Julia. Congrats, Dr. Chen. So proud. Her response was warm. Thanks, Emma. Can't wait to see you. But Mom's text came separately. Emma, we need to discuss Saturday. Call me. I called from my office. Emma, about the party. Julia's advisor will be there, several department chairs, the dean. This is a very academic crowd. Okay. You're still teaching those community college classes? I teach at City College. Literature and composition. Right. Community college. She said it like a diagnosis. Julia's event is about celebrating academic excellence. Real scholarship. I understand it's important. So you see why we need to be careful about impressions. Julia's professors will be evaluating our family. Perhaps it's best if you attend but stay in the background. Let Julia have the spotlight. I was the family embarrassment. The daughter with a master's in English literature who'd settled for community college teaching instead of pursuing a PhD. What they didn't know was that 6 months ago, I'd accepted a position as assistant professor of contemporary literature at Stanford. Tenure-track faculty, not adjunct. The department recruited me for my research on digital literature. My first book, published by Oxford University Press, had won 2 national awards and was used in graduate seminars at a dozen universities. 3 weeks ago, Stanford's dean called with an offer. The English department was creating a new position, Director of the Digital Humanities Initiative. At 32, I'd be the youngest department head in university history. The announcement was scheduled for Saturday, May 20th at 4 p.m. Same afternoon as Julia's party at the Stanford Faculty Club. I'll stay in the background, I told Mom. Thank you. This day is about Julia. We don't want distractions. I hung up and looked at the dean's email. Announcement ceremony, Saturday 4 p.m. Faculty Club Main Hall. I replied, confirmed. Saturday afternoon I dressed carefully. Black dress, low heels, pearl earrings. Hair in a neat bun. I grabbed my Stanford ID badge. I arrived at 2:45 p.m. The faculty club was beautiful. Wood paneling, leather chairs, portraits of distinguished faculty on the walls. Julia's party was in the garden room. Round tables, flowers, a small podium. Faculty members arrived in suits and academic regalia. My family greeted guests near the entrance. Mom wore navy, Dad his best suit. Julia looked radiant in cream, her PhD hood draped over one arm. Emma. Julia hugged me. You made it. Of course. Congratulations, Dr. Chen. She introduced me to an older man. This is Professor Harrison, my dissertation advisor. I shook his hand. Pleasure to meet you. And you are? He asked politely. Mom interjected before I could answer. This is our younger daughter, Emma. She teaches at a local college. Community college, Dad clarified. City College. Composition courses. Professor Harrison nodded without interest. That's nice. Important work. The dismissal was complete. He turned back to Julia. I found a seat at a back table. Over 30 minutes I watched my family work the room. Mom introduced Julia to faculty, highlighting her PhD, her research, her job offer. When anyone asked about other family, Mom mentioned me briefly. Our younger daughter teaches at City College, before returning to Julia. At 3:30 the program began. The department chair praised Julia's research. Professor Harrison spoke about her intellectual rigor. Julia thanked her mentors and family. I sat quietly at the back, exactly as Mom wanted. In the background. Not a distraction. At 3:50 I slipped out. I walked to the main hall where staff were setting up for the 4 p.m. ceremony. The dean's assistant spotted me. Dr. Chen. The dean wants you backstage. I followed her behind the curtain where Dean Victoria Martinez reviewed notes. Emma, are you ready? Youngest department head in Stanford history. Press is here. This will get coverage. I'm ready. Your family made it? They're nearby. At 4 p.m. doors opened. Through the curtain gap I saw people filing in, faculty, graduate students, staff. Then my family. They looked confused. Mom gestured around saying something to Dad. Julia checked her phone. The room filled. Doors closed. Dean Martinez walked on stage. The room quieted. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to one of our most exciting announcements in recent years. My mother looked around trying to understand what this was. Stanford has always been at the forefront of academic innovation. Today we're announcing a new initiative positioning us as leaders in digital humanities. Dad whispered to Mom. We've created a new position, Director of the Digital Humanities Initiative. This role will coordinate research across departments, develop curriculum, and establish Stanford as the premier institution for digital literary studies. Julia was reading the program. I'm thrilled to announce this position will be filled by Dr. Emma Chen, Assistant Professor of Contemporary Literature. Dr. Chen's research on digital narrative has transformed how we understand contemporary literature. Her book, Narrative in the Digital Age, won the Modern Language Association's prize for Best First Book and the Digital Humanities Award for Innovation. The room applauded. Through the curtain I saw Mom's face go white. Dad's mouth fell open. Julia stared at the stage. At 32, Dr. Chen will be the youngest department head in Stanford's history. Please welcome Dr. Emma Chen. I walked onto the stage. Applause filled the room as I took the podium. I could see my family clearly. Mom gripping Dad's arm, Julia with tears streaming, Dad looking stunned. Thank you, Dean Martinez. I'm honored by this appointment. I spoke for 10 minutes about the Digital Humanities Initiative, interdisciplinary research goals, new courses, technology partnerships, grants we'd secured. I discussed the future of literary studies in the digital age. The audience asked thoughtful questions during Q&A. Department heads congratulated me. Press took photos. My family sat frozen. After the program, faculty discussed collaboration possibilities. The dean made introductions, facilitating connections. Then Mom appeared at the crowd's edge. Emma. Her voice strained. We need to talk. Let me finish here. I wrapped up with a computer science professor, then turned to my family. Julia's makeup was smeared from crying. Dad looked shell-shocked. You're a department head at Stanford? Mom said. Since when? The appointment was finalized 3 weeks ago. I've been faculty here 6 months. 6 months and you never told us? I told you I had a new position. You assumed community college and changed the subject. Julia stepped forward. Emma, your book won the MLA prize. That's one of the most prestigious awards in literary studies. I mentioned I published a book. No one asked about it. We thought you meant some small press, Dad said weakly. Oxford University Press. It's used in graduate seminars at Yale, Princeton, Berkeley. Dean Martinez approached, expression carefully neutral. Dr. Chen, I see family has joined you. She extended her hand to my parents. You must be so proud. Emma is one of the most exciting young scholars in her field. Mom shook her hand automatically. We didn't know she was at Stanford. The dean's eyebrows rose. Really? Emma's appointment was announced 6 months ago in the Chronicle of Higher Education. We don't read those, Dad admitted. I see. Well, Emma's work is transforming contemporary literature understanding. The Digital Humanities Initiative is a multi-million-dollar program. Professor Harrison approached and overheard. Wait, you're Emma Chen? The Emma Chen who wrote Narrative in the Digital Age? Yes. I assigned that book in my graduate seminar. It's brilliant. I had no idea you were Julia's sister. You met me 2 hours ago at Julia's party. When my mother said I taught at community college, you dismissed me as unimportant. He looked embarrassed. Mom found her voice. Why didn't you tell us about Stanford? About being department head. I tried telling you about my work for years. Every time I mentioned research, you changed the subject. When I got Stanford, you assumed community college and weren't interested. But this is Stanford. A department head position. When I was at City College doing the same research, publishing the same award-winning book, you called it settling. You said I hadn't achieved real academic success. You asked me to stay in the background today so I wouldn't distract from Julia. Julia cried openly. Emma, I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were treating you like this. It's not your fault. Mom's face reddened. We didn't know. You didn't want to know. You decided years ago that because I didn't pursue Julia's path, I wasn't successful. You never reconsidered. Dean Martinez touched my arm gently. Dr. Chen, the reception is moving to the terrace. Thank you. I turned to my family. I need to attend. Department heads are expected. Emma, please, Mom started. We should discuss this. There's nothing to discuss. You made your feelings clear. I was told to stay in the background because I was embarrassing. Now you know I'm not, and suddenly you want to talk. I walked toward the terrace. The reception lasted 2 hours. Faculty congratulated me, discussed collaborations, welcomed me to leadership. Press took more photos. The dean introduced me to donors. My family stayed at the edge, uncertain if they were welcome. Julia approached around 6 p.m. Emma, can we talk? Just us. We stepped away. I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were treating you like this. It's not your responsibility to make them see me, Julia. But you're a department head at 32. That's incredible. And they made you sit in the back at my party. They made me feel like nobody long before today. What can I do? Nothing. This isn't your problem. Congratulations on your PhD. I'm really proud of you. He hugged me, crying. After she left, my parents approached. Emma, we owe you an apology, Dad began. You owe me years of respect you never gave. We didn't understand. You didn't try. You made assumptions and never questioned them. Mom's voice was small. We're proud of you. Are you? Are you proud of the work I did at City College? The research I published while teaching 5 classes? The book I wrote evenings after grading? Or only proud now that I have a prestigious title? They were silent. That's what I thought. Can we try again? Mom asked. Start over. I don't know. That's going to take time. The next day, my appointment was covered in academic publications. My phone filled with congratulations from colleagues nationwide. The family group chat stayed silent for 3 days. Then Julia posted, "Congratulations to my brilliant sister Emma on her appointment as Director of Digital Humanities at Stanford. So proud." Mom responded an hour later, "So proud of both our daughters." I didn't reply. A week later, Mom called. "Emma, we'd like to take you to dinner. To celebrate properly. To apologize properly." "I'll think about it." 2 weeks later, I agreed to dinner. It was awkward. They asked questions showing they'd finally read my book. Dad admitted he'd Googled the MLA prize. Mom confessed she'd assumed community college meant I'd given up on serious scholarship. It wasn't absolution. But it was honest. I continued building the Digital Humanities Initiative. Julia and I grew closer. She'd taken the Washington job but called weekly. She never again let our parents dismiss my work. And I never again waited for family approval to feel successful. Because worth exists whether they see it or not.